blur the background. Not that there's anything too terrible going on back here.
Does it?
But it's funny.
Does
I
it
can
blur in
reach
real
back.
life?
I can reach back and grab blurry objects and pull them into frame.
When you look back, you look like you were trying to see if it was blurry back there or not.
Everything's still here, right?
Boom.
Use this back scratcher now. Anyways,
I'm moving my office around on Monday. Yeah, on Monday.
Nice. Where are you going to move everything? Is your desk moving? Is the big question.
Yes, my desk is moving. My desk is just moving away from the bright light. And there's more shelves coming in over here.
Oh, nice. Away from the bright light will be nice.
Yeah, I'm a little washed out.
I mean, we're white enough. Like,
yes, I'm my own reflective panel.
Oh my goodness.
When I do photography, I don't need to bring one of those big silver panels. I just stand there.
You just stand there and you're like, okay, take the picture now.
You
just need to get a silver reflective shirt.
Yeah. I've been off coke for 2.5 days now.
Yeah, it's rough. You drank more than I did. Like, I remember when I was drinking, I think when we worked together, even I was drinking probably 3 or 4 a day at work. And when I decided, okay, I'm going to cut to like basically just drinking water.
Yeah.
It was awful. Headaches, like weird like cravings. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, I was up to 8 or 9 a day.
Yeah.
Full sugar. Good cane sugar stuff. All right.
You know, at least the cane sugar is better for you.
Man, I don't know.
Disclaimer, I know that's not true.
Okay, let's talk about comic books.
Yeah, so what were our 3 books this week?
So we had a winner in the blind box.
Oh yeah. In the People's Choice one?
Yes. It was good. I enjoyed the process. It just was too many people and too much content.
Sure.
So I'll probably do it differently. I'm taking a break from Instagram for now.
I saw that. There were a couple people on that Instagram post that asked if you were still going to do YouTube at least.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I looked through it and people were like, "Are you still going to do YouTube?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, heck yeah. I wanted to post it. I'm like, I hope so. It gives me something to
do. Yeah. So what happened was, let me talk a little bit about what happened, and then we'll get into
sure.
these what we call comics. So I was buying a lot of comics, which I normally do, from certain people that are kind of deemed as safe, and they knew what the real value of a comic was, etc., etc., etc. And I started getting added by a whole bunch of other people, which is fine. But all these people were like, "Hey, buy these 4 comics that are worth $6 for $200." And
that's dumb.
Like a daily bombardment.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think I just drew too much attention, and so I just want to back off a little bit.
Sure.
So probably in a month or 2, I'll get back on, but for now, it's going to be a break.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of you can tell, and you even said it in your post that a majority of the people in that community are very welcoming. They're very nice, and even that really showed in the comments in the post too.
Yeah, and I'll say that
there were some good people in there.
It's an older group, as in,
sure,
it's not a bunch of 14-year-olds,
mm-hmm.
That are into comics. So they're similar age and they kind of have similar wants. But for some people, the hobby's just so new that they don't understand what they're actually collecting. They're going to be really bummed out in 5 years when every single one of their current modern comics are worth nothing at all.
Sure.
Anyhow,
and it's funny too, speaking about that age group, when you go from like let's say 12 to 18, like that age group, their introduction to comics is the Marvel movies. Like
yes,
because I can't remember if it was 2006 or 2008 when Iron Man came out. 2008, it had to be 2008. But yeah, that was people's introduction to the comic universe. And so you probably have a lot of younger people that are into comics, not because their parents were into comics or they were at a comic shop, but because the movies.
and admittedly, even older people, that's true as well. I think for me, what's happened is that when I first started in comics, it was not a visual world. You had TV, right? We learned a lot about the X-Men on TV.
Sure.
But if you wanted to see a comics cover or get hype about it, you had to go to a comic book store.
Yeah.
And look at it. And you liked what you liked, not what someone on the internet told you to like, or someone on the internet exposed you to, and therefore you like it. Comics used to be about stories. They used to be about kind of meaningful covers that told the story through the cover.
Sure.
And now it's just, look at the thing we're looking at today, this Dark Detective.
Yeah. 3.0. Went a little off the rails with this one.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. I'll get off my soapbox.
That's okay. I feel like this comic's going to give you a chance to get back on it.
Oh, thanks. Let's talk about chin straps.
Very popular in Gotham.
Okay, so I felt yes, very popular in Future State. I felt like I was pulled out of 1 and 2 from this intro.
Yes,
I kind of didn't know where we left off. You have the futuristic PlayStation over here, playing golf somehow.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't understand that. I mean, I later understood what they were setting up, but
yes,
it felt unneeded. Like that whole section was like, it was the VR golf just supposed to convince me he was rich? Like,
right.
It's a comic book. They could have told me, oh, this rich entrepreneur guy. It's like, yeah, I would have believed it.
He could have been sitting on blocks of gold.
Right. There was like him being in, I think when they say, oh no, like he's been killed and he's in this giant room. That could have been the giveaway that, oh, this was a well-off guy, like
with this a giant TV that makes no sense at all.
Right.
It's like pointed in the wrong direction. And the dogs, like a whole panel for dogs running in. At the bottom of the big room shot. But it just got weirder after that.
Are you going through the comic?
I should be.
Oh. Hold on. Maybe I'm messed
up.
Oh
no, hang on. It froze it for some reason. There we go.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, you were talking about it. I'm like, man, he remembers these panels really well.
No, I do not. I'm doing everything I can to expunge these from my memory. It just got weirder from there.
Yeah, it is a shame because I really liked Dark Detective 1 and 2.
I feel like if they continued on with Dark Detective's kind of storyline where that you were discovering who Bruce was, or who Batman was, rather.
Sure, correct.
It would have felt more together.
Now I haven't read New Batman.
Next Batman.
Yeah, next Batman. Is the Batman that shows up here? Is it that Batman?
I don't know. I haven't read it either.
Okay. Oh, I had no idea. Maybe I'll read it, try and find out.
I feel like the new DC way is to have very boring panels with a lot of writing. And then
that's been
a lot of action. Oh, wait, I'll get to it. A lot of action.
Here we go.
With very little writing. There's no in between.
Right.
I don't need to know what this thing is. Like, don't tell me what this thing is.
He has a fishing net.
Yeah.
charged with negative energy, so they can't detect it.
Yeah. So you can catch space fish.
Yeah. And by space fish, he means invisible drones that explode on him constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't learn.
Eventually, he's like, "Oh, I figured one out."
Yeah, he's trying to start a fire in the first frame.
Bing,
Bing. I was okay. So, what are your thoughts on this Batman?
So I didn't hate it, but I was disappointed given how I felt the first two were going.
Right.
But I think I have a lot of the same gripes you did. Is that some of the panels are very boring with a lot of text. I had to look at this page. I had to look over a couple times because this bottom two panels confused the heck out of me. I'm like, wait, okay, hold on. Which Batman is talking? Like, I understand that there's the new Batman and he has like a real cape and the whole outfit, and that the other one is just Bruce Wayne who's supposed to be dead.
I call it Scavenger Batman and Spawned Batman.
Yeah. Given the way his cape is acting, that's extremely accurate. Like his cape might as well be a symbiote. Like it's going insane in every panel. But yeah, and then how it ended confused the heck
let's
out
go
of me.
there. Let's go there.
Like
one last thing. This could have been the cover, and it would have been okay.
It would have been a cool cover,
but it's not good for it inside.
So then he kind of discovers, oh, everyone's being spied on. It's not like the free Gotham that that they
the magistrate
about.
Is the real bad guy,
right?
In this whole thing,
it's like in people's homes, and he's like, oh, I got shot. I mean, this is him flashing back. They don't do a good job of explaining that's what's going on, but I put it together. I'm like, oh, he was in the place and then now he got shot somehow. I'm like, oh, no. He's just flashing back to when he got shot.
And talking to his microwave.
This next part I felt was extremely unnecessary. Like just him arguing with this girl and her dad, who seems to be going crazy because he thinks he hears aliens. Like it was a strange interaction. I felt like I was. You ever gone over to someone's house and then the couple starts like subtly fighting, and you're kind of like, oh, this is awkward. That's how I felt reading these panels.
It's watching Wanda and Vision. Vision.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how I felt reading these panels. It's like, oh, this is an awkward, like, I don't need to be here.
And it's actually a very personal conversation for people that he's never met before.
Yes. And that she's now yelling at. And then he's kind of like, oh, I got to go be discount Batman for a little bit.
I feel like he's not really being consistent about his outfit. He actually looks more like Nightwing here.
Yes, very much so. And then I'm just so confused by like the last 2 pages. I think like he goes somewhere. I thought this was interesting to like highlight him in the panel with like a white, like a tiny panel inside a big panel.
It felt awful.
Yeah, it was a little strange. It's like honk. Like they could have just done the honk.
I feel like if someone builds a giant M building in town,
right, they're evil.
That's a bad guy.
Yeah. Because no one shapes a building like that unless they've got bad intentions.
Right. It's like the building is it Singapore with the boat on top that is a pool or whatever. That was built by bad people. Like those are villains.
Those will be superhero villains someday.
Yeah.
Those types of buildings. I have no idea what happens here. Like
so this is the building that the dad who's known as Noah,
right,
kept hearing noises coming from, and it's because it's packed full of drones.
right. The invisible drones that he can see using his. Now, like,
Okay,
what
hang on.
happened between this panel and the next one?
I think he made good on his promise to go and silence the noisy house, and he's just beating the crap out of drones, but he doesn't have his glasses on, so
it's like, did he take them off to like hit stuff with a bat, or? And then for a minute I try to figure out, well, wait, is this someone else and he's walking in on this? And it's like, no, he's got the belt and
he looks crazy.
He's got the jacket, so it's
got
right.
the crazy eyes. I mean, that's clearly Batman.
And then it was like, next. I'm like, hold on, I'm not even sure what happened between this page and the last page.
Right. Right. I think the point is that he walks in, he sees drones, he starts smashing them. Somewhere his glasses get lost. I don't know. It's a very weird sequence, and he looks completely nuts. And I think that's on purpose.
Correct.
Because the other Batman said, Batman isn't the person behind the mask.
It's a symbol.
It's a symbol.
It's a symbol.
And he's, as the person behind the mask, he's gone simply cuckoo nuts.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, how would Batman normally solve this in a detective comic? He wouldn't go after one single room and smash up the room of drones. He would try to figure out how to do it for the whole city. So he's nuts. I hated this comic.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was a real letdown from 1 and 2.
Right. Yeah, it really took a dive. Really took a dive.
Very conspiracy theory.
Correct.
And then
the first one was more about like Batman trying to figure out like why he was killed and what was the significance behind that,
and what is he going to do now?
Right. And then jumped into like, what if Batman was crazy?
And, right.
And hung out with conspiracy theorists.
Saw drones everywhere.
Right. And then we jumped into this mess.
Okay. I have a couple complaints about this because I normally have complaints about stuff. And then I have one positive thing to say.
Okay, great. Let's hear it, because I did read this whole thing. I'll give it that.
Yes.
But I just didn't enjoy it.
Okay, so the two negative things. One, it was as long as the first story, if not longer.
Yes. It felt longer. I'll put it that way.
Two, because it's not the main story, there's less character development.
Right. Right.
But on the positive side, it felt like a comic book.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
It felt like, hey, I'm reading a comic book. Like, not too many words, some action, knowing looks, characters you don't know who the hell they are.
Yeah, I love the one that shows up like, remember me. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure someone does.
And I remember, and apparently I've read the story from the beginning.
Even he says sorta.
This comic does have humor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The grifter ones always do.
But yeah. So what are your thoughts on this?
Very, very similar to yours, really. Like, I think they're funny. I just don't care about what's going on.
Grifter, yeah.
Yeah. Which never surprises me in these future state comics, because like I think about, oh, okay, I'm gonna read Dark Detective, and then it's like halfway through the comic, it's like, well, it's no longer Dark Detective, now it's Grifter.
Yeah. So, you literally have to tear the comic in half.
Yeah. It took me a second to figure out where this zombie guy came from. And he's not a zombie guy. He just got blown up in like a few pages back.
Yeah. I feel like
he's like, I'm okay.
Grifter wearing a bulletproof vest doesn't work for me necessarily.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh, your favorite comic of all.
No longer.
Yeah, I
enjoyed it when it was just the one page at the end of Future State comics.
When it was a whole book.
Like a 160 page book.
I feel like the two major stories in one is a failure.
Correct. Yep, I agree with you. I don't think it adds anything. I think if anything, it takes away from
I would
the
argue
comic as a
that
whole.
Batman and Grifter are as close to each other as possible when it comes to like action type of heroes. Anyhow, let's move on.
Okay. I give it a 2.
Good point. Are we doing main story or the whole comic? The whole comic.
I've decided from here on in I'm going to do the whole comic unless I really feel differently about the two different stories.
It's a 1 for me.
Okay. That's fair.
I feel like I was at a 2 coming out of Batman, and Grifter just brought me further down.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stick with 2. Okay.
This is screwed up.
I don't know what to make of this.
Okay, the reason why. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say what's funny is I saw Patton Oswalt.
Yes,
and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this could be interesting.
He's written so much good stuff,
right? And I know he's, I know he's a comic guy. I know he's a nerdy guy. Like, I love a majority of his stand up. It's pretty funny.
And in retrospect,
I don't know what happened here.
In retrospect, this is exactly what I expect out of Patton Oswalt.
Okay. Okay.
It's weird, a commentary on human nature. I think he portrayed himself as the little girl.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. Let's get into this very weird state of things.
This was such a, yeah. So apparently they've graduated from what I think is high school.
Yes. This threw me off as well. And the reason being is that because no one else is going to read this comic, so we better explain it a little bit.
Right.
The person they're talking about, they met as children.
Yes. And they flash back multiple times.
Yes. Now they've grown up and graduated. This person does not grow up.
Right.
And so it throws you for a loop a little bit where in the timeline they're talking.
And this is the person. This is Gale.
Yes, that would possibly perform a school shooting.
Possibly.
In a different comic.
Weird sweater. Yeah.
And I think she's pregnant.
She might be.
She's not pregnant.
Despite being 12 or whatever she is.
It's okay. In comics, yeah. So I think this panel right at the bottom here is like really critical to this whole story.
Okay.
But they don't, like, normally they put the critical panels at the top, not the bottom.
Sure.
So we have a witch, we have a hero, and we have some sort of crazy space robot. All right.
Oh, okay. Now I understand why that panel's critical. Holy mackerel. Okay.
So it'll all come around. So
yeah.
So she's the disobedient child. Then
they remember her.
Yeah.
And she kind of talks about how she's supposed to be this like sexually active 50-year-old woman that turns into a child superhero, but something happened and now she's stuck.
Yes, when she used to say Zephram. And now they play that out in the rest of the comic where like her dad's like, do you want ice cream? She's like, I'll go for a straight rye. Right? Like,
right. Yeah, they very play up like, oh, she's supposed to be a 50-year-old woman.
Yes. And they keep talking about that, and these scenes are very stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I understood why they were necessary, like in what they were doing, but the conversation between the two graduates, just like I didn't care
Yeah.
about their personal stuff because eventually they start fighting.
Yeah. So here they're clearly teenagers.
Yeah, they're
because of
older.
them boobs, and she's still 10 years old.
Yeah, and she's like, "What? It's you?" And she's like, "No, I'm her cousin." Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Because cousins don't grow up the same age together.
Okay, so here she actually saves this girl's life.
Right. She stalls the car somehow.
Yeah, by sneezing. Eighth grader, you know, it's that blah 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 blah.
Yeah. And then she's smoking in the bathroom.
Right, and her topic is that everyone dies at the science fair.
Even mom and dad and dreams and love, they all die.
So every time she gets into trouble, she tries to convert back into a 50-year-old.
Right. And then they come back here. They have a fight over some dumb personal stuff. She's like, I want to go hang out with friends. And she's like, well, I don't want to do that. And so then they fight.
Yeah.
And she's like, I need to walk.
There's costumes.
Right. There's the costume. And there's there's that again. I guess at one point Gail had told them, you guys are gonna split up because they do. And here we go.
Here's where it gets really weird.
Gail and the robot.
Yep.
She's like, it's you. I know it's you, not cousins or whatever. And then the witch.
The witch shows up.
Wings and everything. And she's
now,
like, no.
If everything was accurate, someone needs to offer someone else a cigarette.
Right. Does that happen? I don't remember.
No, it doesn't.
But she wants that to happen. She just doesn't say it. Oh yeah, then she's like, well, don't wipe her memory completely. Just
right.
She kind of giving you the impression that this has happened before.
I would guess. And then they're at life of debauchery.
And then they decide to go hang out with her friend anyway.
Yeah. And then she's flying over the party. Okay, so first of all, if someone was flying over my party, I would notice.
Yeah.
And then secondly, it seems like this has happened to a lot of the citizens of this town because they like made costumes that look like these guys. Like
the witch costume is there too.
Yeah, there's something subliminal, whatever that word is.
Subconscious, subliminal.
Yeah, in their minds about these creatures.
Which makes you think maybe they've been around for a long time.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't age, right? I mean,
right. And if she's supposed to be 50 years old, these things or whatever could have been around for 50 years.
For 40, right. Like when she was a 10-year-old originally. But what makes me think that there's more to the story, where are we? Go back. Go back. Well, obviously there's more to the story here. I don't know. This is not her.
Yeah, I wondered that. Or if it was supposed to be kind of a representation of her or something.
Right. Because right after she runs off screaming Zafram, Zafram, this lady shows up.
Yeah. I guess maybe at the point in where we are, she's gotten over for some reason I can't change back. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's talk about what we thought of this. Rob.
Yeah. I think I might be boring this week. I might give this a 2 or a 1.5. Yeah, maybe I'll settle on 2. It definitely was strange, and I wasn't sure. One of the questions I asked myself is does it make me want to read the next one? It kind of does, because I want to know what's going on. but I didn't. I didn't care about the two girls like talking in the coffee shop and then fighting. I understood like, oh, they knew her when she like when they were young, but
I feel like it's a first comic, so there's a lot of really unnecessary setup.
Sure. Yeah, I'll stick with a 2 again.
So for me, what I enjoyed about this wasn't the weirdness, but more that it was a thinking comic. Like they didn't beat you over the head with like violence or well, there was a lot of beating over the head with subtext, but you still had to think your way through the comic a little bit.
I mean, when you go through it, basically there was no action in this comic.
Yes.
Right.
Except when a mind got wiped.
Even
that wasn't it wasn't particularly actiony.
The most action was that witch lady flew over.
Most action is that she's naked.
Oh, I guess
you can tell because the hair is always in the perfect spot.
Oh, I didn't notice.
That's a comic thing. Oh, maybe not.
No, maybe not. Maybe she's just weird and bumpy.
All right. So, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, with some of the stuff you pointed out, like I feel like maybe 2 is harsh, but I'll stick with it because that's what I said.
Because that's just the kind of person you are.
Yeah, I'll stick with it.
All right.
Just like the Green Lantern movie was really good.
Academy Award
winning movie.
Snubbed. It was snubbed by the Academy Awards. Is there Academy Awards for TV? All right.
There is Golden Globes.
Oh yeah, Golden Globes. Okay, Daredevil number 27. Yes.
Oh, for TV, sorry, it's Emmy. Anyway.
Okay, so running up to this is part of King in Black.
Which I'll admit I know nothing about, but sure.
Daredevil has gone to jail.
Okay.
But they let him keep his mask, but only the top half of his mask.
Right.
Because they think he's gonna get killed in jail if they reveal or whatever, his family, whatever. So Elektra, who's on the cover of this, takes over as Daredevil.
Okay.
In the universe, there was a big Venom and Carnage thing.
Yes.
And then King in Black, who is, I think still being decided, but Null comes in. He's known as Null. And Null has a big sword. He's all in black, very strong, likes to kill things.
That comes across.
And people are dying and then getting kind of sucked into this symbiote state, which we see Elektra in later on. Or in the comic. I mean, I think on the first panel. So
do we? Is it a? Yeah, I guess it is. You're right. Okay.
So all those people are dead, which means that what Daredevil does in this, going from symbiotic or nullified Daredevil to normal Daredevil, is a huge thing.
Oh, interesting.
But at the same time, I didn't need to read this.
Sure. I didn't feel like the situation changed.
Yeah, I mean, these scenes with Kingpin are for larger setup.
Sure. Yep.
We have absolutes and nullified everyone. So, and you can see her in the very first pane, like,
yeah, she's
all
crazy.
Screwed up.
And then they fight, and Elektra, Daredevil's like, nope, gotta go. Yeah, let's run while they're fighting.
And then this is Daredevil here.
Yeah, and he's like fighting with Null in his head.
Yes, right? Null is in everyone's head. Yeah. And then it's a symbiote situation, so everyone communicates with each other across their heads.
Sure.
I think it's a little confusing because nullified creatures have the red. I think it's the red, and then symbiote characters that are absolutes, have the symbol on the head and the white. There's just too much. It's
too much to keep track of.
Yeah. Like trying to keep the story straight. I really haven't read the story of King in Black.
Yeah, I think it's funny that they like electrocute him in this panel, and he's like, "No,
I'm not worthy of God's love."
And then eventually they're mad that he electrocutes himself. Anyways, so yeah, then electrocutes her again.
Yes, because that's how he frees himself eventually.
Right, but they were electrocuting him to begin with.
Right, because I think it hurts a lot to be electrocuted, Rob.
Yeah, it does, I'm sure.
You
think they'd avoid that if they knew there was a chance that it might free you from their grippity grip.
Right.
Like he electrocutes this guy and it's like, no.
Right.
And like the symbiote comes off of him.
Yes. I don't know what happened to the big black guy is helping him. Like, why aren't symbiotes going after him? Why is he still alive? Is it just convenience because he needs someone to pull a panel for him?
Right.
I don't know.
Kingpin has a "I'll just do it myself" moment.
Yeah, which we know that's kind of like he's just gonna fly around in his helicopter forever.
Yell at people from a
Yeah.
And here's Null.
There's Null, yeah. Oh, Canal.
And he's like,
okay, so you know when you go and work at a big office, there's a lot of Matthews. There's a lot of Matthews. Yes. There's a lot of Jameses. There's a lot of these common American names. And everyone and the Matt guy goes, "It's okay to call me Matt." And you know what everyone does? They call him Matt, except for one jerk at the office. Calls him Matthew.
Yeah.
And you know that guy is the villain. If he builds a giant tower in San Francisco that looks like a K somehow, that's the villain.
Yes.
That's the villain. Getting a little loud over here.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean,
then they kind of fight.
They both have bad hair. What they're fighting?
Yeah, their hair's just going crazy.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Aha! I only made it seem like I was dead. Next time."
Okay, so here's my problem with King in Black.
Okay.
It's dumb.
Okay.
But Marvel fans have hooked onto it because they don't want to be worse than DC.
Has anyone read? Let me tell them they should read Future State.
Right. You can't be worse than DC. So don't pretend to like King in Black. Death Metal was questionable. Metal Death was questionable. And now King in Black is questionable. The covers have been okay, but no one's actually analyzing them to see what they actually mean because they actually do have meaning. No, but 12-year-olds are going. I'm extra feisty because I haven't had a Coke for 3 days.
That's fine. That's fine. Feisty is good sometimes when reviewing these.
Yeah, where's my second or third story?
Yeah, that's true. Like, I wanted to read about another character now.
Like Donald Duck.
Another character that doesn't exist in the same universe.
Donald Duck gets nullified. Now what?
Oh, that'd be cool.
I bet you there's a picture of that somewhere.
No, yeah, probably. I could search for it, I guess. Nullified Donald Duck.
Okay.
I
think I've discovered a market that has not
not been tapped.
Not been
Nullified
tapped
Donald
yet.
Duck.
But like, okay. Copy image address. Let's see if this will work. This makes no sense at all.
It's true.
You know what the character would look like under that? His teeth would be out here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an odd thing. This is an odd interpretation, especially if you think of, oh, what would Iron Man be like if he had the symbiote, right? It's like, well, it wouldn't necessarily be the Iron Man suit. Like
right.
the Iron Man suit wouldn't be a symbiote.
It would be Tony Stark that might make his symbiote look like an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would probably be a suit from like 100 years in the future, because that's how Tony Stark thinks. He's like,
sure,
well, this is what I can do right now, but he's actually thinking about 30, 40 suits in the future.
This is what I'd want it to be.
Right. Oh, what I want it to look like is nothing at all. I'm a normal human. Anyhow, this is an actual cover.
I figured you didn't like make this yourself.
Oh, well, I did, but I put it on the cover.
Okay, good. Good.
I'm just tired of it.
So what do you give it?
0.
0? Wow, okay. I'll give it a 1. Yeah. I didn't feel like there was anything to it really.
You realize what we just said, right? That
what?
DC is better than Marvel this week.
Oh yeah. I mean, but we read what is maybe the best of Future State.
Right.
Like,
and we read
Dark
the
Detective
worst of...
Yeah. Dark Detective is maybe the best of Future State.
What else?
Having read a few of the Future States, like Dark Detective stands out.
Yes.
There was one other
Teen Titans or Justice League.
That stands out a little bit too, but
yeah. I'm gonna look up what else came out of Marvel this week.
Okay.
Or this last week.
See what we could have saved ourselves with.
X-Force.
I read it.
And?
It was okay.
Like it or hate it? Like it? Hate it?
If I have to go with the 2, I guess I hated it.
Wolverine 3.
Didn't read it.
Black, White, and Blood.
No. Oh, they had the Black, White, and Blood. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, there's only 3 colors in that: white, black, and blood.
Well, yeah.
I really wanted to read Green Lantern 11.
Oh,
but
hold on. I had the server open. Why isn't it?
It's called. It looks like Rambo on the cover.
Oh, yeah. Green Lantern season 2, 11.
Yeah. Taskmaster.
I'll probably read it, but
Taskmaster 3. Star Wars Vader 10. Sword 3. I think that's what we were going to read.
We were, I think, at one point.
Because of the hook with WandaVision.
Right. Oh, there's Sword, yeah. Sword 3.
Black Panther, but King in Black Panther. Yeah, the rest is crap. Eternals. Eternals is pretty bad.
Eternal.
There's Daredevil. Yeah, I mean, there's Spider-Man, but Spider-Man sucks more than any nullified comic.
Which is hilarious given Venom and the symbiotes, like
background. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm remembering X-Force better. Yeah, I read and was extremely confused by this whole comic. Because it's all about this one dude that dies over and over. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing. I remember looking at it now. I got a good halfway, 2/3 of the way through before I gave up on it.
Any commentary we want to give to WandaVision?
Oh yeah, if you want to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you and I figure out whether there's 8 or 9 episodes?
9.
Did we? Okay, so it is 9. So there is 3 more.
So I think next episode we find out the antagonist to the Hex. So who's gonna help the Hex? And then in the following 2, we're gonna find out who Scarlet Witch's antagonist is, and then we're gonna see a big implosion coming together in the final episode.
Yeah. And I don't feel like I've got a good, clear view of who I think any of those players are going to be. I mean, I don't think we're going to introduce anyone new that will be.
Oh, you don't? That's interesting.
I feel like we've met them already. It's just we don't know. They're either not who they say they are, or like we could introduce someone new in that someone is hiding who they are.
Right.
I have a strong suspicion that what's his face isn't who he says he is. Pietro.
Who? Wait, who? Oh, Pietro. Oh, yeah. I think he's dead.
Yeah, I think
what happened was she brought the dead body of her brother in through the portal, and it aged back to 80s. And the only reference point she had for the 80s through dimensional rifts was the 80s X-Men.
Sure. Which she watched and didn't enjoy. Just like everyone else.
What worries me is Marvel's recognition of the character decisions made by X-Men.
Okay.
Because if they recognize Pietro's kind of flippant attitude and high speed and all that kind of stuff, they might recognize, I don't know, anyone's crappy portrayal. What's her name? The blue chick. Let's not bring her back.
Mystique.
Yeah.
Mystique.
Let's not bring her back with whoever played her. Awful.
No. I'm trying to figure out whether I think that his kind of attitude that you see is because his attitude in WandaVision is very different even than it was from the X-Men. Like, he's a little flighty in X-Men and a little strange, but I feel like it's weirdly amplified in WandaVision. Like and I think maybe it's because he's trying to fill that role that they have in the fake TV show of the like quirky brother that shows up, after,
sure. Like step by step.
Like he corrupts
dude.
The kids. He's the cool uncle that shows up. So I'm wondering if they're trying to accentuate that.
Do you think it's coincidence that he was asleep until Wanda actually started being active in the house?
Oh no, that was interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
But it could not be coincidence.
Yeah.
It was also interesting that they were like afraid of him until he was awake.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they didn't say it was a late night. You also don't see Vision doesn't sleep, and you also don't see Vision kind of doing activities when Wanda's not awake. She's always awake whenever Vision is active.
Right.
Anyhow.
Everyone's dead.
So there's a bunch of different thoughts. Agnes is involved in some way. She clearly is aware of the outside world and of the portrayal inside a TV show.
Their interaction was really strange this week. Hers and Vision's.
Yes. Yes. Because Vision was being unpredictable. Yeah. It was off script. And then You have potentially Doctor Strange, who we know has Wanda in his show, and it's about the
Correct. Yeah,
multiverse.
she's supposed to be in that movie. Yeah.
And then we have possibly someone like Dr. Selvig, or whatever his
Oh yeah,
name
Dr.
is,
Selvig.
who could be someone there. I don't think it's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, a lot of people speculate Reed Richards. But
Yeah, I don't think
I don't think they're going to go there quite yet.
that. It could be Blue Marvel, who is a scientist, who is basically the Superman of the Marvel organization, but he gets killed all the time. Well, I guess like Superman. And Rabot has a lot to do with him in the story arcs.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I guess they could. And especially because she's the one that's like, I know a guy.
What was weird was that she named off a bunch of metals. Like, how do you conquer this? Use this metal. How do you conquer this? Use this metal. And then she said, I know a guy who could do this. Like, is it Magneto?
I mean, I guess he could. So, but she said she knew an aerospace engineer that could do it. And I don't think Magneto is a.
But in Marvel, anyone in MCU, anyone could be an aerospace engineer. Yeah. Johnny's an aerospace engineer.
Oh. Beast is an aerospace engineer.
Yeah, he is a scientist, but in genetics. So,
but if you look at the movies, he also designed the Blackbird.
Yeah.
We had one person from the X-Men movie show up, Marcel.
I don't think I can deal with Frasier in another TV show. That'd be way too meta. Like Frasier shows up in the 1990s in the TV show. Too meta.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm actually really enjoying the show. Really enjoying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Quite a bit more than I thought I would. Especially from the trailers. I'm like, this is just going to be a weird, quirky show that'll be a nice time filler before we get to something, something else in the MCU.
Yeah. So here's my overall theory. Good. I told you this, but here's my overall theory.
Yeah. Let's hear it though.
Wanda is looking for the Mind Stone that Cap has now put back in its location.
Right. He put it back in time.
And he put it back in 2012 in New York. She's in New Jersey. She's going through time in this capsule to catch the Mind Stone. And I don't know if that's because the route Cap took was through New Jersey, or she just needs to be in the same time and place to bring it to her. But she's going through all these different times because it's not just like they're not just acting as if they're in the 50s. Based on what Darcy said, the whole area is changing through dimensional change, through time.
Right.
So I think she's waiting for the time stone, the Mind Stone to show up so she can slam it back into Vision's head and have her love back.
Yeah. I mean, I like that theory.
It's the only theory.
It's your only theory.
There's going a lot of them out there and wiping out other people's theories.
I don't have a theory.
Yeah.
I've read so many.
I've been wrong so many times about so many Marvel movies.
It's true.
I have a theory about every single Marvel movie that pretty much except for pretty much all were wrong. So
I felt like you got one right, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I can't remember right now.
Yeah, which means it didn't happen.
Which means it wasn't there. Oh my goodness.
All right, Rob, I gotta bounce.
All right. Yeah. Good to see you. It was fun.
Yeah.
We'll pick comics again for next week.
Yeah, and then I'll ignore your picks and I'll pick whatever I want.
It's fine with me.
Bye.
All right. See ya.